Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Coffee and Football, presented by Rick Vavro and Austin Underground. I'm your host, Blake Monroe, where I'm joined each and every day by Bobby Burton and Jerry Hamilton, who's back in the saddle. Welcome back, Jerry. We are 39 days away from kickoff, so be sure to tell us who your favorite number 39 is. I have a feeling we're most likely going to have your favorite 39 on the show here in just a little bit today, so be sure to stay tuned for that, as Brian Robison will be joining us. And guys, also tell us where you're checking in from, what you're drinking, get those questions in. Y'all know the drill by now. But let's start with recruiting this morning, fellas. What's the latest there, Jerry?
Yeah, look, I just wanted to hit on like what's next up for Texas, because I've missed a couple of shows here traveling. Obviously, Devon Benjamin, August 2nd, is your most likely next guy to make a decision. There could always be somebody flip one way or the other. You never know in recruiting, but Devon Benjamin, I think, is one of the very best defensive backs in America. Oregon's been on him the longest. I think it's going to be Oregon or Texas. I think Michigan, a couple others will have a hat on the table. I think this guy's big time football player. Super, super instinctive, super film guy. I wouldn't be surprised if somebody in the office in there didn't compare him to Earl Thomas a little, Bobby, because of his ability when they put him on the board when he visited, just knew everything about the safety position or defensive back position and could really draw. It was a guy that obviously had studied his craft and studied the sport and studied defensive back a lot, but this guy's an elite prospect. He's announcing Oregon. He's announcing August 2nd between, I think, Oregon and Texas. So Joe Zura is going to have a good day either way. So good for him.
Hey, I've got to say this. These highlights that you're seeing, they aren't season-long highlights. They come from 2 games.
Yeah,
I think
the first one.
Yeah, we're still. So that gives you a sense of how good he is. I would say this, Jerry, and I know you agree with me. Young man is reclassifying from 2027 to 2026, just like Richard Wesley has. The defensive end that Texas has gotten from California, just like Zella Hicks a year ago out of Georgia, reclassified from 26 to 25. We'll see, frankly, what all goes on here and whether or not he ends up picking Texas. I have been hearing, Jerry, that it may end up being August 5th instead of August 2nd.
Yeah,
so let's keep that in mind. I don't know for sure yet. I haven't heard a final date.
Well, he does wear number 5, so August 5th would be kind of fitting.
Yeah, this guy's. I mean, I'm just telling you now.
He's elite.
Yeah, that I wrote to the group here today. I had watched him, of course, earlier in the year, but I went and rewatched him for the purpose of this program in particular this morning. And my word, after watching, I guess, 7 different clips, he's a freak. That's what he is. If he's not a top 25, top 30 player in the country, I don't know what to tell you. He is maybe the best defensive back I've seen in this class. So
yeah, he's tremendous.
He's in the same category for me as the Fitzpatrick kid.
Yes,
Thomas
absolutely. No question about it.
Yeah.
Somebody asked, while we're on that, just a dude asked about 2027 in California on Orr Johnson. I don't really have anything on him Texas related of note right now, but I'll check around. But he's good, really good player.
All right. Anything else on recruiting, Jerry, that you want to hit on?
Yeah, if you bring up the commitment graphic, if we have that, I just wanted to. So Texas now has a top 5 class, right? And I think if you look at this, it's pretty interesting in that obviously 3 guys from Florida in this class. California is represented with Richard Wesley, obviously, in this class. Georgia represented twice in this class, Tyler Atkinson and Jake Collette, the kicker. You look around Mississippi, Louisiana, Alabama. I mean, they've hit every state down the line now. If you're driving on I-10, any state, and then you head a little north into Georgia, they've covered every state in this class so far. Plus, they got one of the top players out of California, so it's right on track for Texas in this class. And I think if you look positionally, I think defensive line is awfully strong. I think they've done some really good things at linebacker. Just hadn't had a chance to address this since all the guys committed. I think they've addressed defensive needs extremely well. I think they'll add another edge in this class, whether that's a designated pass rush specialist and a Jake Cruel, and I don't think he'll announce until October. They'll stay on Trent Henderson, who I think is a 5-star prospect. They will stay on him. They'll hang around the rim, as we'll call it. Defensive back, Devon Benjamin, we just talked about. If he doesn't go Texas' way, it'll be interesting to see where Texas goes, who they may go back in on, what could happen senior year. I was looking at linebacker. Last class, it was Kellen Wiley Jr. and Grayson Littleton at linebacker, then Grayson Littleton at defensive back, 2 guys in Florida, senior year guys that Texas made a run at. They ended up signing Littleton over Michigan after he decommitted from Clemson. Kellen Wiley, they lost out at the tape. Miami beat him at the tape on Kellen Wiley, who I think is a tremendous linebacker prospect. So if you look around, I think there's going to be some senior year guys, obviously a couple of guys. But Bobby, I see 5-6 spots remaining in this class. And when you look at Texas ranked 4 or 5, wherever people have them ranked, everybody else has in that top 5 has 5, 6, and even 10 more commitments than Texas does. If Texas gets to 26, 27 in this class with the level they're recruiting at, I have a feeling they're going to be a top 2 class once again. LL asked about Aaron Gregory, Jabari Mack. Aaron Gregory, I think that ship sailed. Jabari Mack, I think Texas will stay in contact with him, but I think somebody within that family would have to back off the LSU thing for that to really have a chance to materialize.
Yeah, and LSU has a number of wide receiver commits, including Tristan Keys, the nation's number 1 ranked wide receiver out of Hattiesburg, Mississippi. So I think that there's a little bit of an element there that maybe he might bounce because of that, but we'll see. LSU certainly has a great history of late with wide receivers as well themselves. So we'll see how all that goes. Jerry, the one thing that you mentioned as it relates to those 21 commitments and what Texas has, as I described it, it's like they just have more runway.
Yes.
Than Georgia. In Georgia,
USC.
I think Georgia's 2. USC is 1. They have 31 and 30 commitments respectively. Yep. Notre Dame is 3, I think, with 26 commitments.
Yes.
Texas is 4 with 21.
A&M's got 26 commitments. So anybody around Texas has 5 to 8 to 9 to 10 more commitments than Texas. And I think that's a big difference here because look at what what they added senior year last year to that class to get to their number. I wrote something on TexasFootball.com positionally, kind of what's left. If you guys want to go check that out, Malachi Lee obviously is a guy at offensive tackle. I talked about edge. I think linebacker. Texas will hang around the rim on a Braden Rouse. They really like him. See what happens. Could there be a senior riser there? Tight end, kind of a question mark. Wide receiver. I think Texas will hang around the rim on Jalen Lott a little bit and see what happens. Long way till signing day.
We don't. Somebody just mentioned two offensive linemen. We don't expect 2. We expect 1 offensive lineman at this point to be added. And we expect. Yeah, Jerry just said it. It's a tackle. We believe. That was absolute truth there. Jerry, you look at the recruiting class. You mentioned they're doing particularly well on defense. I've got to agree. I mean, while they just added. Obviously, Derek Cooper on Sunday, big-time running back. I mean, Tyler Atkinson, Richard Wesley, those guys are 5 stars on defense. Jermaine Bishop could play either side of the ball. They've got a group on the interior. James Johnson just committing. Vodney Cleveland. Look, I mean, people underestimate. We talked about it. Like, we thought people were going to underestimate James Johnson before he committed to Texas. He'd been committed to Georgia, and then all of a sudden one of the ranking services ranks him number 10 in the country. I go, okay, well, they're not underestimating him anymore. Right. I was like, what's the deal with Vodney Cleveland? This is a guy that was once committed to Alabama, had offers from everywhere in the South, including Georgia, including Alabama, including LSU, including Florida. The list goes on and on. I think Vodney Cleveland is a little bit better than maybe some national rankings have him.
Hey, bring that commitment list back up one more time, Blake. I want to go through something real quick, which is interesting to me. So on that commitment graphic, I'm just going to point out a couple things. Derek Cooper wants a Georgia commitment, right? Cohen Brown was once a USC commitment. If you keep going down this list, Vodney Cleveland wants an Alabama commitment. James Johnson wants a Georgia commitment. That's 2 in this class. Corey Wells was really close to committing to Ole Miss at one point in time. Tyler Atkinson, obviously Texas beat Georgia. Kosi Okpala, that was more of a Penn State Baylor thing. Samari Matthews beat South Carolina. Hayward Howard, Texas beat LSU for him. Jermaine Bishop, he grew up an LSU guy, an LSU fan, along with Texas, family Texas. Texas beat Texas A&M on Bishop. So you look at some of these, who are they beating? They're beating all the key people. Who are they getting? Guys, whether they were once committed to a different school, 2 guys that were once committed to Georgia. If you think Texas isn't on all the right guys, just look at it from that perspective. I mean, 2 guys were committed to Georgia. 1 guy was committed to Alabama. Richard Wesley was committed to Oregon. Cohen Brown was committed to USC. I mean, this class right here. Jermaine Bishop obviously picked Texas over Texas A&M. Hayward Howard over LSU. Tyler Atkinson over Georgia. I mean, you look at all these guys. Texas is on the right guys, and you're not going to get them all, but they are on the right guys. And I think there's going to be more of that. I mean, you look at Devon Benjamin. That's going to be an Oregon, Texas, Michigan battle at the end. It could come down to Oregon, Texas. We'll see. You look at a guy like Jake Cruel. A lot of people are asking about Jake Cruel versus versus Henderson, I should say, Trenton Henderson. Different players. Trenton Henderson, I think, is a 3-down guy, a guy that can, I think, is a 5-star prospect. I think Cruel enters college as more of that designated pass rush specialist, and you have to see where he goes from there.
One more player who was committed elsewhere on this list, Yaheem Riley.
Yes.
People forget about that. Was at one point committed to the University of Houston.
There you go.
Who is quietly putting together a pretty good class, by the way.
Yeah.
All right, Bobby, tell us about our sponsor today, Rick Vavro and Austin Underground.
Yeah, absolutely. Rick's a good friend of the program. We appreciate him very much. He's been very supportive of On Texas Football, helping us bring this program to you guys each and every Tuesday. Since 2004, Austin Underground has specialized in difficult underground commercial installations. The team's engineering background gives Austin Underground the ability to perform work other firms often consider too risky. Rick and his team offer an end-to-end client experience, including seamless communication, budgeting, staffing, and top-notch trade partners. And most importantly, they produce solid quality work each and every time. That's Austin Underground. They also have a sister company called Texas Road. If you're looking for major road projects, whether it's a subdivision or a large branch, what have you, make sure you give Rick and his team a call there too with Texas Road. Multiple degrees from the University of Texas Engineering Department. That's Rick Vavro, Austin Underground, and Texas Road.
Hey, I want to bring something up. I want to give LL some credit here because people have been asking, hey, what is a comparison for Derek Cooper? I hadn't even thought about this one, but Matt Forte isn't bad, LL. That's not bad, dude. Good one.
We'll get to some more questions here in just a moment. But first, guys, I want to read the super chat this morning here from Kevin Randolph. Thank you, Kevin. Appreciate it. He says, good morning. My dad, Richard, turns 85 years today. Huge Longhorn fan for decades. He had 2 of his kids graduate from Texas. He follows recruiting closely. Can the coffee crew wish him a happy birthday and a hook 'em? But then Kevin forgot to add that his dad listens to all of the OTF shows.
Happy birthday. Thank you very much for being part of the On Texas football community, Richard. That's awesome.
Yeah, it is awesome. And I gotta say this. I think he is from Tiny, if I'm not mistaken, let me get this right.
Cherokee.
I think he's from Tiny Childress, Texas. Is that right?
Cherokee,
Texas. Yeah. So thank you so much, Mr. Randolph and Richard, 85 years young. So good to hear from you. Once you become a Texas fan, you're a Texas fan for life. That you can say what you want, but you know, I'm going to be 85 and in the same situation. You know, that's the good thing about everybody here.
I just had to say this. I had to look up where Cherokee was. I thought it was kind of hill country, but I didn't know exactly where. Yeah, because I guess they hadn't had a football player, so I hadn't been through there. So honestly,
six-man country.
6-man country.
Yeah.
So I had to take a look to see exactly where that was on the map. Happy birthday to you. Thank you for the support.
Yep. Love it.
So some people, I just
Oh,
want to
go
say
ahead.
that some people are asking a Derek Cooper and Adrian Peterson. I don't see that comparison. I think Adrian was a much more violent cutter, and he was one of the all-time freaks. I mean, to be 6'1", 215 and run 10.4, I mean, he's one of the all-time freaks ever at that position for me. I think he's a little more violent with his cuts.
And maybe with contact.
Right.
I mean, Adrian Peterson's a stud. So
yeah.
All right, Bobby, one thing I know you wanted to talk about this morning is this list came out about average football revenue, and they have Texas at the top there with 183 million. I know you have some thoughts on it, so I'm just going to let you take it away.
Yeah, here's my thought process on this. They actually were acting as if, and I think this came from the Athletic. The Athletic.
Yeah.
And it basically said, this is what it would cost you to buy these teams. You know, we've talked about private equity getting into college sports. Texas came up at the top of the list at 2.3 billion. Georgia was second at 1.9. Ohio State, same neighborhood. Notre Dame, Michigan, Alabama, Oklahoma, USC, Tennessee, LSU, Penn State, Florida, Auburn, all above $1 billion. Aggies coming in at 937. Aggies actually are ninth in the SEC, by the way, if you look at that list. I would say this. There's no way that the University of Texas would sell the University of Texas football or athletics program for $2.3 billion. So I say that it's not just because of the money. That price tag would start between $5 to $7.5 billion would be my guess. You're not getting the premier brand at the same rate you're going to get everybody else. This isn't the Tampa Bay Devil Rays or the Carolina Panthers, which is who they compared the Longhorns to from a financial perspective. So I would just say that these numbers are skewed downwards, in my opinion, especially if they can get the back end mechanism of college sports working. And that's NIL, house settlement, all this stuff. If they can get that working in a functional way that makes sense for everybody, I believe strongly that these numbers are going to be short of what they're really worth.
Hey, is there a team on here that surprises you that they're where they're at? Or, I mean, to me, is USC a little low on this?
No. Yes, USC's not, because they're not getting the fans right now. But they're in a huge market, loyal fan. The one that strikes me, I mean, Tennessee does not have a national brand, but they have that revenue. USC's not low. If you look at actual football revenue there, Jerry,
yeah,
they're low. million.
Yeah, they're way
compared to everybody else, and I think that's the issue.
If you just looked at this list, the one school that would appear on here that some people may be like, really, if they don't follow enough, is Washington. But, you know, if you're not a avid follower of all this, but Washington's one of those sleeper, really good programs and really good jobs for guys. I think it was for Kalen DeBoer. Obviously, we'll see. It's been for other guys, but Washington is kind of that sneaky program on this list.
I lived up in Seattle for 2 years, actually, in my early 30s because of rivals at the time. And I've got to say this. Washington has a devout fan base and is a good program and is valuable.
Yeah.
I would say the one that kind of, I don't know if it, like Penn State is there's no way they would sell that for $1.2 billion.
No,
I mean, these numbers are just, you know, look, Florida State. Here's the other thing. Look at Florida State's value there, $867 million. They're the ones that's been squawking the most, by the way, about potentially taking private equity money to get out of their rights agreement with the ACC. They've now negotiated out of that, but that's that Look, $400 million wouldn't even have got you out of that contract for half the business. I think some folks are I think the Athletic underestimates college sports, but college sports had to be a true great business, in my opinion, needs to get themselves right from a rules perspective as it relates to NIL. If they could get that right and the transfer portal right, these numbers could easily double across the board.
Well, let's jump into some more super chats this morning, fellas. We got one from Drew Lockhart, and he says, excessive take. If the running back room can't stay healthy throughout the season, hand it to Townsend and let him go. He would wear a defense down. Eventually, all they see is that towel heading down the field.
I love that super chat. And, I've wondered if he could be a red zone back if they need it at times, Bobby. He is a downhill hammer type of attitude player. I've wondered if he could factor in. And I'm not saying he could or would, but if in a little bit of a need, that guy's just a football player. You could tell him to play anywhere and he can get the job done. He really can.
I think it's interesting because I actually had an article on Texas football this morning, kind of going down a list of things I had heard by position. One of the guys I mentioned, by the way, Drew, was actually Amari Winston at tight end. I've heard good things about Nick Townsend since he's been on campus too. But one of the things I heard about Emory Winston, high football IQ, surprisingly athletic, difficult to take down in the open field. He's got a little move to him, and also great hands. He really snatches it. So I think Texas really likes both young tight ends that are on the roster from this year. Add them with Spencer Shannon, Jordan Washington, and of course Jack Indries, who, look, we've heard some things behind the scenes, Jerry, but Arch Manning said, we think that Jack Indries is a really special player from the standpoint of he's there before practice, after practice. He's as committed as anyone to being a great player. When you go to the portal to bring in a guy that you want to be a starter, those are the kind of guys you want to bring into the team. The ones that care, the ones that are going to maximize. And I think Texas, what I wrote this morning was Texas got out of the portal at tight end what they exactly wanted. And you can't ask for more than that if you're a football coach or a football program.
Counting specialists, it's going to be 5 or 6 portal guys are going to start. Counting specialists.
There's 2 specialists, obviously, kicker and punter.
Emmett Mosley, injuries, Murad Watson.
That's 5.
Maybe Brad Spence at times.
Yeah.
Brad Spence is a starter level player. He's an NFL football player.
That's okay. They only the 15th or 20th ranked portal class.
Right. But going to start 5, at least 5 are going to start on the top 5 ranked team.
Yeah. And don't forget the depth at defensive. I shouldn't say anything. I should just.
Juan Garza with the super chat this morning says, what is the difference between the 4 to 5 and Strong's era to this current crop of Florida recruits?
That group was really talented, but they had some academic issues and, issues. So it never materialized. Devontae Davis was a really solid player, but a couple of those guys never made it. Probably weren't going to make it even if they got here. So it was a lot more risky, let's say, group.
I'll just say this: the guys at Texas, the 3 of the guys there, I think was one guy of those Florida 4 or 5 or whatever that were ranked in the top 10 in the state. All 3 of these guys are. I think it's just a different caliber player.
Yeah.
Too. Not trying to be rude to the previous group, but just a different caliber of elite athlete. Texas they weren't fighting Georgia, Alabama, Miami, Florida for all of those guys.
Yeah. I see. I'm going to answer this. Where do you think Amari Latimer will land? He is committed to Wisconsin. I think he's a really good fit in the Big Ten. I think the kid made a good decision. I think he's a downhill guy. I think he's a really good fit in the Big Ten. Now, what will Miami do with Cooper off the board? Will they make another run at Amari Latimer? Because Latimer had two uncles that played at Miami, but Latimer knew he wasn't the number one guy for Miami. They're going after Cooper. He commits to Wisconsin, where obviously has a family member up there in the program. So we'll see. I think he's at a really good fit at Wisconsin.
And we got a couple more super chats. I know you talked about him at the beginning of the show, but we've had quite a few people join, Jerry. So Paige here wants to know, what's the inside scoop on Devon Benjamin?
Battling it out for another 9-10 days, Bobby. I mean, look, Texas is all in on this recruitment. Oregon's been recruiting him the longest. They have been on him multiple years. Obviously, Michigan has felt like they were in it. We'll see at the end of the day as it gets closer if they really are. North Carolina will have a hat at the table. That would be an upset, but it feels like this is going to be an Oregon or Texas decision. But there's still some lot of runway left in this recruitment.
And then going back to that revenue graphic we were showing a moment ago, Jeff Carey, thank you for your super chat, says, did you notice the athletic graphic, the asterisk next to A&M? Scroll down and it notes that they would be worth more if they could win more than 8 games.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, goodness. Oh, man. All right, guys, let's get to some more questions here this morning. And let's take this one from E. Kim. He says, Bobby, do you see Hugh Freeze at Auburn being on the hot seat?
I don't think there's any doubt that he's on it at some level. We were talking about hot seat last night, me and Jeff, during Talking Ball, Jerry. And I didn't actually mention Auburn, but I certainly think that, I'll put it this way, I think the fan base wants Hugh Freeze on the hot seat.
Yeah.
Because of his love for the game of golf, I think. I think he's playing a little too much golf for their taste. He's fiddling while Rome burns, I think.
Yeah.
Is their opinion. You know what I mean?
Yeah, coaches can only golf a lot if they're winning a lot of games.
Yes.
Exactly. That's the only way a sleeve of Titleists are acceptable. Yeah, you got to be a 9-10 win guy to play a lot of golf.
Yeah.
Look, Alabama fans
like these guys as hot seat guys, Jerry.
I mean,
let me give you the hot seat guys that I gave the group last night. USC. I mean, he can't win 7. He can't win 8. I mean, they're paying him $100 million to, Michigan, because I think Sharon Moore's in his second year. And last year was just short of a catastrophe. They would have lost to Ohio State. I mean, he would have been on the hot seat.
Yeah.
Firm. Florida, Billy Napier looks like he's gotten himself out of it. But if he reverts, LSU, similar issue to USC and Lincoln Riley. He has to get over that hump. Oklahoma, Brent Venables has to prove he belongs as a head coach. That's my opinion.
And with a brutal schedule. He has the toughest.
They mentioned Auburn and then Kentucky, UVA, Arkansas, Auburn. Let me ask you this. What happens if Texas Tech goes 8-4? Is Joey McGuire on the hot seat at that point? I mean, they just paid $40 million for a roster. Well, I mean, is he on the hot seat at that point?
Yes. Yeah.
They got to win at least 10 and make it to the playoffs, right?
I would think so. Unless they just had bad injury or something crazy happens. Yeah, I would think so. Well, Kim asked about DeBoer. I don't think DeBoer is a hot seat guy. DeBoer's a great coach. He's going to get, I don't see that. They're recruiting well.
Really well.
Yeah, I mean, look, if he doesn't make the playoffs 2 years in a row, then the fans will get very restless. So it's a big year for him. But Alabama can't hire a better coach than him. If they fired him after 4 years or something, they're going to revert right back to what happened before they ended up getting Saban. How many coaches did they go through? 4, 5? They can't hire a better coach than Kalen DeBoer.
Oh my goodness! I've got to write. We've got to put this up because Steve in Houston, Auburn statistics. Jerry, what do you think of this? Read that. Auburn statistically was a lead on offense moving the ball. They just had the worst turnover luck in the SEC.
They did.
If Arnold and Freeze works, they could be a real surprise team because the weapons are elite. They do have a wide receiver, Cam Cunningham, that's really talented. But I want to say this. I don't know who they've got at running back because Hunter graduated. I wouldn't necessarily think Arnold and improving on turnovers go together.
Yeah.
That doesn't go together. That's what I was getting at, Stephen.
I think it's a situation similar, different, but similar to, I'll say this, similar to Florida because they were the situation last year. And I know Deuce Knight is currently their third string quarterback, but they really like him from everything I've been told. If things go a little haywire, what coaches normally do when the seat gets really hot is they bring in the hot shot 5-star quarterback and say, I got this guy here. We're close. This kid's going to be really good. Let's get the pieces around them. If things get a little haywire at Auburn this year, watch for that move to happen because they really like Deuce Knight. And that's a lot of times you'll throw your 5-star out there to try to save your job.
All right, fellas, before we move on, I need to tell everyone about one of our sponsors today, and that's Huel. If you're constantly on the move or maybe you're just tired of skipping meals, Huel has you covered. And they are spelled Huel. Their Black Edition ready to drink is a total game changer. It's a complete meal in one bottle, 35 grams of protein, 27 vitamins and minerals, high fiber, low sugar. You're going to feel full, focused, and ready for your day. There's no prep, no cleanup. Just grab it and go. Now, Huel's already sold over 500 million meals around the world, and now it's your turn to try it. New customers get 15% off plus a free gift at Huel.com when you use promo code ONTexas. And Huel is a perfectly balanced meal while saving you time. It's designed by experts to provide all the nutrients your body needs from a meal. Huel takes the guesswork and time out of healthy eating. No prep, no cooking. That's what I personally love about it. I don't always have time to whip up a new meal, so I can just grab it right out of our fridge, and I'm ready to go with a complete meal. So just remember, you get 15% off plus a free gift for new customers when you use promo code ONTexas at Huel.com. That's Huel, Huel.com. Please see the description for the terms and conditions. Skip the stress, not the nutrition. Try Huel today for complete nutrition, bottled.
I want to add this, Stephen Houston. I completely agree. Cam Coleman's a future first rounder. Singleton may be the fastest receiver in the country. If Jackson Arnold can't get it done with those guys, he's never getting it done because those dudes are tremendous. And
I forgot about Singleton when I was talking earlier. They got to find a running back though to replace Jack Wes Hunter.
Yeah, but if Arnold can't get the ball to those guys consistently, he's never going to be your quarterback because those guys are studs.
We have a super chat this morning from Blake. I like the name there. And thank you for your super chat.
This is Colt in disguise.
Colt's at camp right now, so he better not be super chatting. What was the moment you knew that Vince Young would be great at Texas? Blake says he remembers him picking a fight at Kyle Field with the entire Aggie team by himself pregame in 2003, and that is when he knew.
When he played North Shore in the Astrodome before he was committed.
I was just going to say,
I mean,
well, here's the deal, though. You didn't know he was going to be at Texas at that time.
Well, I said before he even committed. I just knew.
His first game of his senior year. I mean, because I had Vince Young. That's back when I was managing the national rankings. I think I had Vince Young somewhere in the top 10 in the country as a recruit going into his senior year. And I had him ranked as an athlete at the time, Jerry. Yeah. And I watched his first game of his senior year. I moved him to quarterback at number 1 and never looked back. So when did I know? I don't know if I knew, but I had
and you had to get past the way the arm action looked, right?
Yeah.
Because the college coaches couldn't. I mean, he wanted to go to Miami. They said, receiver. He wanted to go to LSU. Nick Saban said, receiver. FSU, probably receiver. Nobody was recruiting him as a quarterback, which is crazy. So people had to get past, and you did too, had to get past it. Didn't look traditional. The way the football, with his arm action, the way the ball came out of his hand. It didn't look traditional. But I go back to that North Shore game. in the Astrodome. Because North Shore had more talent at that point in time than the North Shore of today. Like North Shore for those years was unbelievably talented, starting the Cedric Cormier, Corey Redding, Joe Walker years on through. They had more talent than even North Shore does today. And he made all those guys look, I don't know, like barely D1 guys. And when you see a player like in a setting like that, and he only had 2 other D1 guys around them on that team, make that North Shore team look like low D1 guys, that's really special stuff.
I thought his best high school game actually came against Hightower in the Dome. I think 2 weeks before. Phenomenal. I will add this, like the head coach at Katy at the time, and still is the head coach at Katy, is Gary Joseph. And he and his dad, Eddie, who used to be the head of the Texas High School Coaches Association, I was sitting next to them in the Dome, in the Astrodome, in the upper section, talking to them. And I'll just tell you this much. Gary Joseph was as high on Vince Young as anybody could be.
Yeah.
Because he had seen him and dealt with him. And that, I just thought, I think he's different, So when did I know? I don't know, but I had no doubt he was eventually going to be a great player. None. There was zero. I mean, he was just so big and so athletic. And so he was like a natural alpha. I don't know how. It's like he was too athletic and too big and too fast and too tough not to be an alpha.
The thing he did too that's never talked about enough is when he put the ball under his right arm, and he went right about 95% of the time, he set up blocks like a 10-year NFL running back. He had the knack and the instincts for setting people up, just like a running back does, a high-level pro running back. That to me was like, when you watched him run, you were like, woo. Quarterbacks aren't supposed to have that feel to help maximize runs, along with everything else he had. He was really special. Really, to this day, probably the best college football player I've seen.
All right, don't forget we got B-Rob joining us here in just a few moments. But first, let's get to the super chat from Jay Pena, 323. Thank you. It says, what, if any, element of recruiting strategy is keeping game wreckers away from SEC schools like Georgia, Florida, etc.? Is it a factor or just a bonus?
What does game wrecker mean to you?
I don't know. I mean, look, Georgia's got the number 2 class. We'll see if how many of those guys actually sign. But they have the number 2 class in the country right now. They got really good players in this class. Florida, I don't know. I mean, look, Jaden Baugh came out of the Atlanta area, and he wasn't wanted by everybody, but he's a great football player. I think both those programs are doing a good job, obviously, and I think they're not short on talent at all, I would say. I mean, Georgia lost to Tyler Atkinson. That was a big one for them. But outside of that, they got Caden Prothro. They've done a lot of really good things in their class. James Johnson was a big flip, but they've done some really good things. Florida, I know people that cover Florida. You ran into them at SEC Media Days. Kind of think they're missing too much on some guys right now. We'll see where it's at in December.
Before we get to our special guest, Bobby, I'm going to let you tell everyone about Vaughn Lane this morning.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got to get from one city to another. And like always, it's a toss-up. Do you deal with the airport chaos and hope your flight isn't delayed? Or do you brace yourself for hours behind the wheel, battling traffic and burning a day? Now there's a third option, and it's better in every way. You arrive at a luxury hotel terminal. No TSA lines, no long-term parking lots. Just a seamless boarding experience that takes minutes, not hours. You settle into one of just 22 oversized first-class seats with 140-degree recline, leg rest, and a cabin attendant serving complimentary snacks, beverages, and on select trips, full meals. Need to relax, lean back, and enjoy the ride? Want to stay productive? There's high-speed Wi-Fi and power at every seat. Fall travel is booking fast. Reserve now for October trips to Texas OU and Dallas. F1 and ACL in Austin, or college football weekends in Nashville, Dallas, Fort Worth, and Houston. Vaughn Lane connects Austin, Dallas, Houston, Fort Worth, San Antonio, Nashville, Atlanta, Memphis, and now Knoxville, Tennessee, the Woodlands, and Plano. New stops. Visit VaughnLane.com. Use code OTF25 to save $20 on your first ride. Vaughn Lane, elevated regional bus transportation. All right, Blake.
Go ahead.
We've got a special guest coming in here, and I think I got to switch my hats real quick. There we go, Brian. You see this?
I like it.
That's a Tackle Addict hat, Brian's company that he and Brandon Belt own, gear shop for fishing. Brian, thank you for joining us this morning, buddy. How's your summer been going?
Man, it's been busy, man. We always take a trip up to Minnesota every year, me and my son, and we were up there for about 2.5 weeks this year. Smallmouth fishing was tough, but man, we got on some largemouth fishing that was just unbelievable. And then now I'm neck deep into Little League football again, so we're back at it, staying busy.
Y'all already started practice? Y'all are going again already? It's already getting
so our first day of practice was July 14th. So we had basically just cleats last week. We've got helmets this week, and next week we start pads. So we're in it.
Brian, you guys went through a similar situation, in my opinion, that this Texas team is doing back in 04-05. Y'all went from the hunter to the hunted.
Yep.
Right? I mean, when you first got started, y'all were kind of the team, but then you became the team that everybody wanted to knock out. That's what Texas, I think, and Sark has kind of created in Austin. 2 straight semifinals. Now they're the ones that everybody wants to knock off the block, preseason favorite in the SEC. What's that feeling like, as a player? What is your mental focus or your mental preparedness need to be?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you got to be prepared to get the other team's, the opponent's best shot. And when you're in the middle of training, that means every guy has to give maximum effort. It's one thing to get to the top. It's another thing to hold yourself up there. And you look at a team like Georgia that over some time, they figured out how to stay on top. Texas really was able to challenge that this year, but at the end of the day, Georgia was still the SEC champion, everything else. So in all reality, like a lot of people are pegging Texas at that top spot, but they haven't made it there yet. And that's the deal is you've got to understand that all the goals and everything, all the aspirations that you've had when you came into the University of Texas, you have not achieved it yet. And, that's got to be the one good thing. Now, it's a totally different deal when you have achieved it, and now you've got to figure out a way to stay on top because everybody sees you now as the hunted. They're still going to see everybody's best shot at the end of the day, including Georgia's. But at the end of the day, you got to have the mindset that you have not accomplished the main goal yet.
Hey, Brian, I've never asked you this, but I thought about this when I heard you were coming on the show. 2 things for me. What were your recollection of your first Mad Dog college workout and your first practice at Texas?
Yeah, I mean, dude, I came from a little bit different background, I guess I should say, than a lot of kids. Like my dad, I told him when I was a young kid that I wanted to be the best. And my dad challenged me every possible way that I could. My mother and my father backed me 100%. I didn't have a summer job. I mean, we owned a feed store for a couple of years, and that was my summer job. But my summer job was going out there, working out in the garage. It was 120 degrees upstairs in a wooden garage. That was my summer job. And we basically put everything I had into sports and earning a college scholarship. And so when I got to Texas, I will tell you this, there was a lot of guys that were not prepared for that. And, man, for me, even me, it was tough going. It was tough sledding. But at the end of the day, I think I had prepared myself for that situation And there was an adjustment period. I mean, a lot of the training, once you get to college is a lot different than what you're doing upstairs in the garage or out on the bleachers or something like that. But I kind of put myself through that situation of like basically tearing myself apart to build myself up was kind of the motto I had. I got to tear myself apart to build myself up. And that was the only way I was going to make it. Being a 3A high school football player, 3-star athlete, I've got to do something extra to fit in with these 5-star guys. So Mad Dog's first workout, and now we'll never forget the first time we had our little running test. Okay, and we ran like 31.10s. Dude, that was – I'm not built for 110, especially not for 30 times. Like, I'm more of
Marcus Myers just referenced this. Marcus just referenced this. He's listening.
Yeah. I'm not built for that. Like, I'm built for, like, hey, quick, like, 20-yard burst, 40-yard burst at max. You start making me run some 110s like I'm a track athlete, and then you make me do it 30 times. Listen, something's going to fall apart. And a lot of times it's your ego that falls apart first. I'll tell you that.
Hey, Brian, Jerry and I were talking about it, and it's something that you mentioned last year in post-game shows a lot, how the defense had consistently gotten better under Pete Kwiatkowski. They got their players into the system, the type of players they needed, and they've consistently got better and better. Something happened this past week, really, starting a week ago today. Texas added 2 5-star, and I know you said you were a 3-star, but you were a 3-star before Huddle, Brian. I imagine if there was Huddle out there.
If I had Huddle, I'd have been a 6-star, no doubt about it.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. So that's my point. But I will say this, Texas is starting to add more Colin Simmons and Anthony Hill types, if that makes sense. Kind of game changers. This is the kid, the linebacker from Georgia, Tyler Atkinson. I don't know if you got a chance to watch him or not, but man, he runs like a gazelle, dude. He's really impactful.
Yeah, and you said it perfect right there. I mean, when you sent me the video, I watched it a little bit this morning, and he does. He reminds me of just a very good mix of Anthony Hill and Colin Simmons. He's a guy that likes to play around the line of scrimmage. You're going to see a lot of spying the quarterback out of this kid, things like that. But what that tells me is he has the ability to rush the passer. He has the speed to track those guys down. The other thing you're going to see is you're going to see a lot of him coming off the edge. You're going to see a lot of run plays where he's at or beyond the line of scrimmage when the running back gets the ball, which tells me he instinctively understands run game. He understands, tracking running backs, as far as their angles and things like that. I mean, right there, you see it. He's got the speed, the closing speed to track down a quarterback right there. So what's going to be interesting to me is when they get him to Texas is how they utilize him. Is he going to be a pass rush guy? Is he going to be a linebacker, more of your Anthony Hill type, or is he going to be the Colin Simmons guy that comes off the edge the other side? Is he going to be a Vix where they develop him into a all-around linebacker where they can do multiple things with him? And to me, he looks like a guy that you could be able to do that. As long as he's got the mental aspect of it to be able to pick the things up, he will be a great complement to Anthony Hill and Colin Simmons.
Brian, 3 years as a varsity player, started as a freshman, 475 tackles.
That's not too bad. That's not too. I mean, that's a good video to make on Huddle.
Yes. Yeah. Hey, Brian, I want to ask you about Colin Simmons because we hadn't had you on since close to the end of the season. What you saw last year from Colin, and kind of what kind of even jump do you think he can make in year two? Because that year one, the year two jump, sometimes the biggest one for guys. Then there's some people say, well, sophomore slump. I don't see that with that kid. Kind of, what did you see from him last year? Maybe thinking back on it, you knew what to expect. What did you see that you really liked, and where do you think he can actually go at Texas?
Well, here's my deal. When Colin Simmons first came in, I was a little. I knew he had the talent, but I was a little reserved on what he would be able to do. strictly from the size aspect. You know, being a little bit lighter. Sometimes those guys do really good in the pass game, but they don't hold up in the run game. And where I'm going with this is Colin Simmons came in. Clearly, he got in the weight room. Clearly, he got on the right regimen as far as eating the right things and stuff like that. Put on a little weight and was not only a dominant factor in the passing game, but you saw him make multiple plays in the run game last year, not only using his quickness, but using his strength and his leverage. And that's where I think Colin Simmons is built a little bit different than a lot of these guys that you see that come in as a speed rusher. He understands how to use leverage, and he understands where his strength lies. It lies in his quickness, but he also, you can clearly tell he has the strength to really be able to move defense or offensive linemen around. And that's where I think Colin Simmons, if he can grasp a hold of that and he can develop that as he gets older and just another year in the system, another year in the weight room, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if he puts on another 5 or 10 pounds because he can handle it. You know, so you start putting all those things together and you're going to see a kid that, I mean, really and truly, I think he's got a high floor already, but I think the ceiling is even higher. I think he still has a lot that he can put out there on the field. And honestly, like if I'm talking about another kid that kind of reminds me of him, maybe not same stature, maybe not same way that they play, but and I can't remember his name, but the kid from South Carolina, that was a freshman last year as well. Both of those kids, yeah. Both of those kids right now, man, like they have an opportunity to be battling out for who's going to be the top defensive end taken in the draft or top outside linebacker. And I think for the next couple of years, you're going to see those two guys battle out on who's the top guy in the SEC.
What about the pass rush as a whole right now, Brian? I mean, you made a lot of money rushing the passer as an NFL pro. What do you think about the group they have? Because it's not just Simmons. That's what Jerry and I talk about. I mean, Simmons is elite and one of those. He's a little bit of a rare bird, right? I mean, there's him and then everybody. But Ethan Burke can get after it a little bit. Colton Vasek can get after it if he's healthy. Trey Moore came on at the second half of the season. Anthony Hill has a little something special to him in that regard. Do you think is this like the best pass rushing group you've seen Texas have? And it is in my time. I think there was a time when there was you and Tim were really good, but you guys were kind of the main guys. I think there was a time with Sergio Kendall, Arakpo. They had a couple guys, right? But is this the best overall sack kind of pass rush guys, you think, as a group?
Well, Bobby, don't forget now, me and Tim, we also had Arakpo and Sergio behind us. So don't forget about that. But if I'm saying this as a strictly edge group, I think these kids can be as good as they want to be. Now, here's the caveat to the discussion. What do we have on the inside? Because the inside is just as important as the outside. And I'll tell you this, because if you don't have a guy that can rush the passer on the inside, it makes it really easy for offenses to say, hey, we're going to chip these two guys on the outside and we're going to run 2-man routes and we're going to run the ball at them, wear them out. We're going to run right at them, make them use their strength in the run game, make them use their quickness, fatigue them. It becomes more of a chess match. Whereas if you've got one guy, just one guy that can rush on the inside, when you look at what we've had here in the last couple of years, when you look at a Tavondre Sweat, when you look at a Byron Murphy, when you look at Vernon Broughton last year that made splash plays in the game, Baron Sorrell even kicking down and doing some things that he was able to do. When you have one guy that can get after the offensive line in the pass game on the inside, now those guys can't do that. Because if you send 2-man routes and you chip the edges, what are you going to do with the inside guys? It makes it very hard on an offense. So that would be my deal. As far as the edge guys, I think they are as talented as any group that we probably had at the University of Texas. If you got one guy that can really rush the passer on the inside, that makes that become a reality.
I've got to be honest. When you mentioned Arakpo, you and Sergio, Crowder was not a pass rush guy. He was a great player, obviously NFL player. When you mentioned those three, I'm like, those may be three of the best pass rushers Texas has had in several decades. So I may actually recant my statement, Brian. I may have to take that back. I love it.
And even Crowder, man, when you look at it, I think he had – what do you have, like 9 or 10 sacks his senior year? So, I mean, even that year, I mean, and unfortunately for me, heck, I think I was hurt half the year, little knick-knack stuff. But, I mean, dude, when you got guys like Arakpo and Sergio Kendall that are up-and-coming freshmen and they're kind of second-string guys, I mean, that's pretty scary stuff.
Y'all had some dudes. Hey, I wanted to play this. You mentioned inside guys on defense. Texas, that other 5-star I was telling you about, James Johnson. I don't know if you got a chance to watch him as well, but this is a dude that I really like. Did you get a chance to watch him at all, Brian?
I did, and I'll tell you, man, the thing I like about him so far, and listen, it's high school ball. I get it, right?
Yep.
You got people that are on different levels at high school ball, but the get off that he has on the ball, a lot of times you can't teach that, okay? But then the pop, the strength, and then the ability to have the quickness to get off blocks is what really stands out to me. When you look at his, and listen, I get it, it's a highlight tape, right?
Yep.
But at the end of the day, like, it happens multiple times over and over where he's just a guy's offensive lineman's head should not pop 6 feet in the air. An offensive lineman should not jump back 3 feet, right off of the initial hit. And he does this over and over and over. And that tells me two things. He's got great pop and explosion, but also he understands how to use leverage against the offensive lineman. And especially at the next level, when you get a lot of these offensive linemen that are taller guys, that are going to, some of them are going to be playing higher than others, especially when you get to that 6'5", 6'6", 6'7", and above range. If you can get underneath their pads, that gives you the best opportunity to beat those guys. And then what are they going to do? They're going to set their feet, they're going to lean, and you see multiple times where he's got the quickness to just throw them to the side and get off. So I think for him, I just saw the comment there too. I've seen him run some guys down in tape at 3 technique. He's got some great speed for a 3 technique guy. So I think this kid is another kid that there's a reason he's a 5-star, and I think – once again, what we're seeing out of Sark and this coaching staff is they're finding a great mix of guys who have already proven themselves, a great mix of guys that they can develop. And I think this is a kid that you're going to see first year, he's going to be able to make some hay in there.
Brian,
Jerry.
the last thing I have for you, Brian, is our producer Matt's been in and out of the show. He says if you'll work on your traps, you'll look a little better physically. That was just his opinion.
I just worked on them. I'm about to cramp. I'm cramping.
Hey, Brian, tell folks about Tackle Addict and what you guys do. You and Brandon Belt and your wife, partners in that venture. Good stuff over there.
Yeah, and really what you meant to say was me and Brandon Belt work for my wife is what you really meant to say. So, so we have a tackle store, brick and mortar spot down at Lake Sam Rayburn. It's about 1.5 miles from one of the biggest tournament spots in the country, which is Humphrey Pavilion. We also have an online, which is tackleaddict.com. It's a very small family-run business. I mean, you pretty much mentioned it. That's 3/4 of our workforce right there, just me, Brandon Belton, and my wife. And man, I'll give it to Jamie. She works her tail off at that store. She's heading down there tomorrow while I'm staying at home coaching Little League football and taking care of the kids. I run daddy daycare, and she's the boss. She puts the bacon on the table. So yeah, we had a lot of fun with it. Fishing is a big time passion of mine. And, this was an opportunity that came up a few years ago, and we've been running with it since. We pride ourselves on customer service, and we want to just make sure that people have a great time shopping for baits, get everything that they can need, and visit us at the store on St. Rayburn or tackleag.com.
Good
Hey,
stuff.
tell Brandon Belt whenever he's ready to enter the arena with us. Tell him to come on in the show, man. We'd love to have him.
Oh, I think he'd love to do it for sure. I think I'd love to do it. We were trying to get him on Texas Game Day one time, and if he'd answer his phone once every 3 months, he might actually, get to do some cool stuff every once in a while. I mean, a guy thinks he plays baseball for a little while and makes a lot of money that he can just kind of not answer his phone. But
hey, Brian, good luck with the kiddos, man. Good luck with coaching Little League football. We appreciate it. 39 days till Texas takes on the Buckeyes in Columbus, Ohio. Brian has been to Columbus, Ohio, and emerged a winner before, by the way. There's probably the most famous Brian Robison photo. Probably the most famous hit you had, though, Brian, was the Rhett Bomar one, right? Still to this day? That's the most famous one for you?
Yeah, and that one went around quite a while. And funny story, I actually got to meet Rhett Bomar years later. He came to Minnesota, and we signed him at quarterback. And I always took it upon myself anytime there was a new guy in the building, introduce myself to him or whatever. And of course, I walk up to Rhett and I said, "Hey, man, I'm Brian Robison." And he kind of looks at me with this look, literally like this. He goes, "I know who you are." And I was like, "Well, I wasn't gonna say nothing, but since you want."
You halted a man's career at OU, bro.
It was wildly awkward. I will tell you that. It was wildly awkward. I'm shaking a guy's hand that I literally Yeah.
You doubled over. You made him double. You created a verb.
I've always said that hit was years of frustrations for Texas fans against Oklahoma in one hit. They all came out in one hit. That's what it felt like to me.
Yeah, and years of relief as well, because that was pretty much the end of it. Like once that happened, it was like, okay, there's no coming back from this one.
Rod Wright moved faster than he's ever moved before after that. Thanks, Brian.
We got to work on that hip flexibility.
Brian, you take it easy, buddy. Take care of yourself. Good luck with everything.
Thank you.
Hook 'em horns, bud.
All right. Look forward to him on game day or post game show again this year, Bobby.
We'll see. I mean, I haven't talked to him yet about it, but I would love to have him. Obviously, he's going to be invited, but we haven't talked about it officially yet.
Hey, there is some news. People have hit on this. Oregon Duck Josie says, Jimbo just joined the ACC network. Care to give your thoughts? Somebody else mentioned that earlier. I had not seen that, but that may be the only thing that makes me tune in for an ACC game, other than my buddy Tom Luganville.
Yeah. Can you imagine Jimbo going back to FSU? I guess let bygones be bygones. He brought him a national championship, but my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh, let's see here, fellas. We got a super chat from Casey Miller. Let me find it here. So Casey said Sark hired PK, who he knew would be there and not take a head coaching job. How does that affect success that he's had in short time and sustaining it?
I think it's been very key. I mean, here's the when you have a side of the ball that you can rely on opposite what you do as a head coach. Okay. So if I'm Steve Spurrier and I have Bob Stoops running my defense that I can rely on for a good 3 or 4 year run, I can recruit to that defense and I can rely on them to be there. The thing with Pete Kwiatkowski is, you're right. You can rely on him to be there, and they've recruited his style of players that he wants. If you remember that first year, Texas had a very porous run defense, in part because they didn't have any defensive ends that could hold up. They recruited Todd Orlando defensive ends that were all get up the field beyond everything else. It allows your recruiting to actually take hold. It allows for experience and understanding of a defensive concept. I just think it's a really important factor, Casey, in my opinion.
Then we have another super chat this morning, fellas, from, let's see here. Where did it go? If I can find it. Well, now it's gone. Here we go. From Damon. Sorry about that, Damon. And we appreciate your super chat. He says, I know we have Cooper, but why no love for Gross? Sark loves mismatches and his speed out of the backfield. I don't know. Seems perfect for the Jaden Blue role.
Yeah, Davion Gross out of Frisco area. It's not a guy Texas shown interest in it. You know, he's an interesting prospect. He's tall. He's a tall kid, first of all, but 6'3.5" probably. But he also has worked out with margin hooks a lot as a wide receiver. So is he a running back? Is he a receiver? Really talented kid, but just not a guy Texas has shown interest in for whatever reason. And I've never, since they just didn't show interest in him, I've never dug into if there's a why necessarily. I think they just liked other guys better at the end of the day. He's a good player though. But the question is, what's he going to play in college and how would that all fit?
Well, we got time for just another question or two. But first, Bobby, I'm going to let you tell everyone about Austin Underground.
Yeah, absolutely. Rick Vavro and his team have been specializing in difficult underground commercial installations since 2004. The engineering background that Rick has gives Austin Underground the ability to perform work other firms often consider too risky. Rick and his team offer end-to-end client experience, seamless communication, budgeting, staffing, and top-notch trade partners. But most importantly, they produce solid quality work each and every time. It's Austin Underground. Also, Rick and his team, Rick in particular, owns a bar out in Jonestown. If you're out near the lake, make sure you stop by the Lone Star Bar. Have a cool one with Rick after work. That is Austin Underground and its sister company, Texas Road, as well as Lone Star Bar. Thank you so much, Rick, for your ongoing support of On Texas Football.
And we have a question here from Phil McIntosh says, OTF crew, y'all think that Texas teams around Arch is better, worse, or on par with last year's squad? Seems the media isn't 100% convinced Texas is there yet.
I think that's fair. I mean, although the media did just vote Texas the SEC preseason favorite, so I don't know that no media is ever going to be 100% convinced of anything. Is this team around Arch better than a year ago where Texas had 12 draft picks, Jerry?
I kind of F for fake. I'm kind of with them. I think 1 through 85, this may be the most purely talented roster Texas has had under Sark. With that said, I don't know if there's going to be 12 draft picks this year on this team. So I will say this. I think it's I want to say better, but the only thing that gives me a little hesitation is the Makuba Baron in the secondary and just how tight that group was from a communication standpoint and an offensive line communication standpoint. I think they may have more talented guys on the offensive line as a whole and depth-wise as a whole. Is the communication. I mean, Texas last year was like a great half-court defensive basketball team on the offensive line with communication in the secondary, especially in the secondary. And it just tied everything together. Are they going to be there? I think talent-wise, I think they have more depth. I think they have more. I think this is more NFL players in this program right now than any other year under Sark. Now, some of those guys are going to be – a lot of those guys may be number one recruiting class and some of the other classes mixed in. But and guys they got out of the portal are going to be Texas multiple years. That may be a big difference. But I don't know, man. I think this could be – I think this is Texas' most talented team they've had.
And we will close with this from Connor Vaughn. He says, today is my first day off since July 5th. Been working with the Kerrville recovery efforts for the last 3 weeks.
Wow.
Thank you, OTF, for all your hard work. You guys are the best. I don't think you should be thanking us, Connor. I think it should be the other way around for sure.
I think that's absolutely true. That's absolutely true. Thank you, Connor. Thank you very much.
All right, Bobby, what can folks expect later today?
Well, Jerry and CJ are going to get at it and talk a little recruiting breakdown. What's next for the Longhorns? A little Devon Benjamin, I'm thinking, as well as a look perhaps ahead even further. Then we're going to also have the live stream tonight. Rod Babers Jeff Howe, CJ Vogel. I think Aaron Hogan also going to be along. And then on OnTexasFootball.com, Steve Sarkisian steps to the microphone in about 2 minutes for the THSCA keynote speech that Sark will give. Jeff Howe and CJ Vogel are there for On Texas Football, and we'll be reporting on it. Also, Jerry and I also already wrote a couple of articles this morning for the website too. Join us there, have some fun on the message boards, and talk Longhorn football all day, every day.
That's
Hey,
right.
and by the way, if you're friends with a Georgia fan, and just get them some Joy Mode. They need it right now. Order them a pack of Joy Mode for your Georgia fans and friends, because they need it right now.
Oh, man. And on a much more serious note, if you aren't a member of OnTexasFootball.com, sign up using promo code OTFOG. Lock in a full year for just $39.95. That's for new subscribers only. Limited time offer. Again, promo code OTFOG at OnTexasFootball.com, and take advantage of that offer today. And don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button as well. We would appreciate that as we get closer and closer to that 100,000 number. That's just insane to me, but it is what it is. So, guys, we will be back same time, same place tomorrow. So, for Bobby Burton and the Joy Mode, Jerry Hamilton, I'm Blake Monroe, and we'll see you then.